The last firework had gone. It was a great, shuddering chrysanthemum of gold, and it had dissolved into the velvet dark. Now a peculiar quiet had fallen over the town. But it wasn't silence. Not true silence. It was something softer, something woven from the threads of what had just been. You could still hear the memory of the booms, a faint ringing in your ears like a distant bell from a city that had sunk beneath the sea. The air, thick and warm with July, tasted of spent gunpowder and summer night. A smell like forgotten magic, like a spell that had worked perfectly and was now gracefully fading, its purpose served. The world seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the ordinary to return. From the porch swing, the world looked different. The streetlights cast long, sleepy shadows that stretched and yawned across the pavement. A single car drifted by, its headlights sweeping across the lawn like a gentle searchlight, not looking for anything in particular. It was just going home. The crickets, who had been patiently waiting for their turn, began their symphony. It was a hesitant start, a few soloists testing the air, and then the full chorus joined in, a steady, pulsing rhythm that was the true heartbeat of the night. This was the sound that came after the grand performance, the quiet music for the cleanup crew, for the ones who lingered. The sky was no longer a stage for man-made stars. It was just the sky again, vast and deep and peppered with the real thing. The moon, a sliver of polished bone, hung shyly behind a wisp of cloud. It watched the world settle. It saw the last of the lawn chairs being folded, heard the soft click of a screen door closing for the night. The grand communal shout of the fireworks had given way to 1,000 tiny whispers, a parent murmuring to a sleepy child, the clink of a glass being set down on a kitchen counter, the gentle sigh of a town letting go of the day's excitement. It was in this quiet that the real magic happened. Not the loud, bright magic of explosions, but a subtler kind. It was the magic of transition, of the world turning itself down. The energy of the crowd, the shared gasps and cheers, had dissipated into the air. It floated away like the smoke, leaving behind a feeling of calm, a shared, unspoken peace. The day of celebration was over, the night of reflection had begun, and the porch swing moved back and forth, a pendulum marking the slow, gentle time of a midsummer's night. The scent of the fading barbecue lingered. It wasn't the sharp smell of cooking anymore, but a sweet, smoky memory that clung to the air. It was the ghost of feasts past. It smelled like every 4th of July you could remember. It brought back the phantom taste of slightly burnt hot dogs and the sticky sweetness of watermelon juice running down your chin as a child. You could almost feel the phantom dampness of a sparkler's wire in your hand, the fizzing, dangerous little star you were allowed to hold just for a moment once a year. These weren't loud memories, but quiet, hazy things, like old photographs with soft edges. They came unbidden, these little echoes. A memory of a grandfather, a man you hadn't seen in 20 years, carefully lighting the fuse on a fountain that spat silver sparks onto the driveway. The way his face was lit from below, making him look like a kind wizard conjuring something beautiful just for you. You remembered the scratchy wool of a picnic blanket on the grass, and the feeling of lying on your back, your head in your mother's lap, waiting for the darkness to be deep enough for the show to begin. These weren't grand historical moments, but small personal freedoms. The freedom to be small and safe in a big, dark world. The mind is a strange archive. It keeps things you don't know you've stored. The specific pattern of a neighbor's tablecloth from a decade ago, the sound of a particular laugh, one that hasn't been heard on this street for a long time, echoing from a distant backyard barbecue. The feeling of being tired and happy at the same time, a unique exhaustion that only comes after a day spent in the sun with people you love. These memories weren't about flags or anthems. They were about the texture of a day, the gentle rhythm of a holiday lived in a small town, repeated year after year until the years themselves blurred into one long, warm evening. You could feel them all around you, these ghosts of July's past. They weren't sad, they were comforting. They were proof that you had lived, and that these moments had happened. They were the embers glowing in the dark, long after the fire has gone out. Each spark a tiny story, a brief flash of a face, a sound, a feeling. The porch swing creaked, a gentle metronome for the parade of memories marching softly through your head. The past wasn't a heavy thing. It was a soft blanket, settling over you in the cool of the evening. Earlier there had been a moment. Not a big one. It would never make a history book. Old Mrs. Gable from 3 houses down had been trying to carry a large bowl of potato salad and a folding chair at the same time. An impossible task for anyone, let alone a woman whose movements were as delicate as dried leaves. A teenager, one you only ever saw with headphones on, gliding by on a skateboard, had stopped. Without a word, he had taken the chair from her, walked it to her spot on the curb, and set it up. He gave a small nod and was gone again, a silent flash of kindness. These were the connections that mattered tonight. Not the grand speeches, but the small, unspoken agreements. The way everyone on the block had angled their chairs just so, creating a shared space on the sidewalk without ever discussing it. The way people offered to share their bug spray, a small act of communal defense against the tiny vampires of the night. It was the quiet conversation of community, spoken in gestures rather than words. The shared oohs and ahs during the fireworks were part of it, a temporary choir singing the same song of wonder, binding strangers together for a fleeting moment. You remembered offering a bottle of cold water to the young couple who had just moved in next door. They looked a little lost, new to the neighborhood's unspoken traditions. The gratitude in their eyes was more than just for the water. It was for the welcome. It was for the thread of connection, offered without expectation. It was a simple thing, a bottle of water, but tonight it felt like an anchor, a small tether to a safe harbor. These tiny acts of grace were the real fireworks, you thought. They were small, quiet bursts of light that illuminated the space between people, showing that it wasn't empty. This was the fabric of a place. It wasn't made of documents or declarations. It was woven from these quiet, gentle moments. A shared glance with a neighbor when a particularly loud firework made a baby cry. A collective, knowing smile when the grand finale seemed to go on forever. It was the understanding that you were all in this together. Not just this night watching the sky, but in the small, everyday business of living side by side. The shared space, the shared quiet, the shared memory of the light and noise. It was a fragile and beautiful thing, this invisible tapestry of a neighborhood at peace. The night deepened. The last of the houses went dark, leaving only the moon and the dutiful streetlights to stand watch. A profound sense of gratitude began to settle in your bones. It wasn't a loud, declared gratitude for grand concepts. It was a quiet thankfulness for small, tangible things. For the sturdy wood of the porch beneath your feet. For the gentle breeze that stirred the leaves in the oak tree, making them whisper secrets to the night. For the simple, profound fact of being here, right now, in this peaceful moment, on this spinning planet. It was a gratitude that asked for nothing. You felt thankful for the silence that allowed you to hear the crickets, the silence that allowed you to hear your own thoughts, not the loud, demanding ones of the daytime, but the soft, nocturnal ones that wander in when the world is asleep. Gratitude for the darkness, which hid the world's sharp edges and imperfections, and allowed the stars, the real ones, to finally have their say. Each tiny pinprick of light was a reminder of the vastness, and of your own small, safe place within it. It was humbling and comforting all at once. This was a different kind of freedom. Not the freedom of nations and armies, but the freedom of the soul. The freedom to simply be. To sit on a porch swing on a warm July night and feel the world breathe around you. The freedom from noise, from rush, from expectation. It was the liberty of a quiet mind, a moment of truce in the endless gentle war of being alive. You felt a wave of contentment wash over you, a soft tide pulling the day's anxieties out to a distant sea, leaving the shoreline of your mind smooth and clean. The porch swing slowed to a stop. It was time to go inside, to slide into cool sheets and let the gentle rhythm of the crickets carry you into sleep. You took one last look at the sky, a silent thank you to the stars, to the moon, to the quiet sleeping houses. The night felt like a gift, a soft dark box tied with a ribbon of peace. And as you closed the door behind you, the quiet of the house welcomed you like an old friend, ready to hold you safely until the morning came.